On this week's episode, Cole and I debunk the #1 cholesterol myth. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 16 of the Lifestyle Construction Show. I'm Billy Weiss and I'm excited that you're here. I want to make sure that I remind you about our 2 upcoming introductory classes to our Lifestyle Construction program, where you can learn how to change your health in dramatic ways like so many before you have done. So make sure that you click the link below and go check out the dates and sign up for the class that suits your time the best. Today we're going to change it up just a little bit, and I'm going to introduce a member of the Lifestyle Construction team. Today I have Cole Moore with us, and Cole is the research director and is an integral part of our Lifestyle Construction program. So hello Cole.
Glad to be here.
Yep, glad you're here. Today we're going to talk, Cole, a little bit about some myths, some nutritional myths, some dietary myths that can interfere with people's health.
Sure.
And with the way that people think about things. So today let's talk a little bit about cholesterol.
Okay.
Are there any myths that you can think of about cholesterol? Is all cholesterol bad for us? What's your initial thoughts on cholesterol?
Absolutely not. I don't feel like cholesterol as a whole is bad at all, really, and it's kind of been demonized for a very long time, that it's particularly bad, and I don't feel that it's bad at all. I feel that, you know, it got a bad rap, and along with it, its cousin fat. Fat got a bad rap too, so.
Right. So you did a research paper for pharmacy school, correct?
I did.
About some cholesterol myths, we'll call them. And you studied Ansel Keys, who was it in the 50s?
I did, about 54.
Okay, 1954. He did a study on 22 countries, I believe.
Yep.
And he kind of cherry-picked a few out of those, what was it, 7?
Right, hence the name, the 7-country study.
Yeah, the 7-country study out of 22, and he kind of hypothesized that fat caused all these heart attacks and all these issues, correct?
He said that there was a correlation between fat and heart disease.
Right. And so when you really look, they went back and looked at all the data that was available to him. It became not so clear that cholesterol had such a clear correlation to heart attacks and other diseases, right?
Right.
All right. So when I think about cholesterol, I think about all the good things that cholesterol does for us. You know, the brain is made up 60% fat and contains about 25% of all the cholesterol in the body.
Right.
Cholesterol makes up the building block for all of our sex hormones like testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, lots of those hormones. It's great for our immune system. Cholesterol is actually an antioxidant. Cholesterol is good for vitamin D. It helps convert to vitamin D. It does all these good things for us. It creates bile, which helps us digest certain foods and things. So why is it so demonized? Is there a reason other than the 7-country study, or is there other things that you can think of that caused that you found in your research?
I mean, I definitely think that kind of sparked the bad fat movement with Ansel Keys. You know, when they went back and looked at it, they found things that they thought were more of the culprit for heart disease besides fat. And I think that's kind of where the fat industry kind of got, you know, took a turn for the worse, and they kind of started the snack well phenomenon, which kind of led to the low fat industry, you know, which now are billion-dollar-a-year markets for the low fat products.
And what were the results of those low fat or the snack well phenomenon, as you call it? What
that was right around the time where diabetes and hypertension skyrocketed. Right.
So really, when we look at the research, there's research that shows that at least half of all heart attack victims have normal cholesterol levels.
Exactly.
Up to 75% in some research have normal cholesterol levels. Yet it seems that everywhere we look, or the commercials that we see, talk about we have to lower our cholesterol to prevent heart attacks. We have to lower our cholesterol to prevent heart attacks. So if we know at least half to 75% of people who have heart attacks have normal cholesterol levels, what should we be looking at to lower our risk of heart attack?
I mean, I think it goes back to, you know, what you're eating. You know, the body is very important, and fat obviously got demonized from the beginning, but I think it goes well beyond fat, and you should really look at things like sugar and your carbohydrate intake and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is that eating saturated fat will not necessarily increase my risk of heart attack, but eating too much sugar or things that the body creates a sugar response to, such as carbohydrates, can create that type of environment that creates more heart attacks.
Sure. Right.
Okay, so that's a myth that we're certainly, I believe, is pretty prominent today, that cholesterol causes heart attacks, that cholesterol is bad for us. How about eggs? You know, we're told that eggs are going to increase our cholesterol. Eggs are bad for our heart. Eggs are this, eggs are that. What's your take on that?
I look at eggs as kind of like a revolving door. You know, a couple of decades ago, eggs were bad for you, and that's when the egg whites became popular. And now you're seeing more and more every day that, you know, eggs are good for you again. Eat the yellow part. That's the saturated, which is crazy because that's the saturated fat in the egg. But they tell you that eggs are good for you, and they used to be bad for you. But yet, it's saturated fat is still demonized. I don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? And so in our program, the Lifestyle Construction Program, we're teaching people to actually eat a high-fat eating plan. I hate to call it a diet, but we eat a lot of fat, right?
Right.
And we can, I think, show people how they can actually reduce their risk of heart attacks and all heart disease based on eating good quality fats, right?
Absolutely.
Even many of them saturated.
Right. Eating good fats and cutting out some of those other things you mentioned, like the carbohydrates that turn to sugar and sugar itself.
Right. So when we eat a good fat diet, we're taking in less of the things that actually contribute to the inflammation that creates the heart attack. So
there's a lot of good benefits to eating the good fats, you know.
Right.
Maintaining fullness, you know, not getting hungry as often, things like that. So.
Right. And the fact that that eating more of the good fats, we find, and we measure this, actually reduces cholesterol levels.
Absolutely.
In a lot of the folks who go through the Lifestyle Construction Program.
Right.
We've actually had I can think of one lady for sure that reduced her cholesterol by over 200 points, total cholesterol by over 200 points without any prescription drugs.
Right.
Just changing her diet or her eating plan to the Lifestyle Construction high-fat plan, right?
Absolutely.
And so we find that what we get is more normalized cholesterol overall levels typically when people go on this plan. And more importantly, we find that their particle sizes are better. So tell us a little bit about that. Total cholesterol is not all it's cracked up to be, right? It's more about particle size.
It's not. And for so long, people thought, you know, HDL, good cholesterol, LDL, bad cholesterol, things like that. But it's really more in depth than that. It really goes to the particle size. So I like to think about it as the large, fluffy particles versus the small, dense particles. And like think about it this way: like the large, fluffy particles, kind of like balloons bouncing off a hallway. You know, they don't really tend to stick. But if you have those small, dense particles, they're the ones that stick, that cause the blockages, that cause things like that. So you shouldn't really even look at HDL versus LDL. You should look at the particle size, and you want to stick more towards the large, fluffy molecules that won't stick and cause the clogged arteries. Yeah,
you know, in Japan they don't even really look at cholesterol levels anymore
for heart disease
because they know that it's not really, doesn't seem to have much of a correlation. So you make a good point. We want big, fluffy, balloon-like or cloud-like particles and not the small BB or marble size particles, because those are the ones that create the blockages or can create or lead to the pro-inflammatory states. Right.
I feel that a much better test to look at is definitely their HDL to triglyceride ratio.
Right. HDL to triglyceride ratio can be one of the #1 markers.
Right. You're looking for anywhere. Optimal is about 2 to 1. So if your triglycerides were 50, you would shoot for your HDL to be about 100.
Right. And one of the best ways to raise HDL, guess what? Is to eat saturated fat, right?
Absolutely.
And one of the best ways to make the particles, the bigger, fluffier, balloon-like particles, is saturated fat again. Right. So cholesterol's kind of been unfairly demonized. We're not really talking about saturated fat in particular today, but we're talking about ways saturated fat can help with the particle sizes and the cholesterol numbers and the HDL numbers. And in addition, you talk about HDL to triglyceride ratios. The more fat we eat typically the lower we see the triglycerides go, which we do want to reduce so that we can get that ratio of triglycerides to HDL better.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Correct.
All right, so when we think about all the good things that cholesterol does for us, we think about all the benefits of some of the nutrients and cholesterol and fat that are in eggs. We think about the brain being 60% fat. We think about these things. We think about every single cell in the body has a membrane around it that's made up of fat.
Absolutely.
And part of that fat is cholesterol, especially the brain.
Every nerve ending is made up of 20% fat.
Does the idea of lowering it to the lowest level we can get it, does it start to seem like maybe that's not the best course of action to prevent these different diseases?
It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, and so that's what we find, and these are some of the things that obviously we discuss in the class, in the lifestyle construction classes, especially the heart disease class.
Right, and why in the world would you want to starve the brain of its most important nutrient? It makes no sense to me.
Right, and there's a lot of research that shows that lowering the cholesterol can create a lot of issues. Lowering the cholesterol too low can create a lot of immune issues, nerve ending issues. You know, you mentioned before we started, the myelin sheath or the coating around the nerves is actually made up of cholesterol. So we can create a lot of problems by getting our cholesterol too low.
Right.
Any parting words other than don't be scared of cholesterol?
Yeah,
it's actually beneficial in a lot of ways for us.
Definitely. Don't be scared of cholesterol. Don't be scared of fat. I mean, eat the things that, like they did back in the day, you know, how our grandparents did, you know, eat fat, eat the good things, eat butter.
Fat tastes good, right?
It does.
I mean, fat makes things taste good. I know some pretty good chefs who say, hey man, the way we make our food taste so good is we use a lot of fat. We use a lot of butter. We use a lot of spices.
Absolutely.
So, and we're finding out that may be the right way to eat for health also, right?
Absolutely.
Plus it tastes better.
It does. And
so it's a win-win.
You got to eat fat to lose fat. So.
You got to eat fat to lose fat, which maybe will be a myth that we'll do here in one of the upcoming weeks for sure.
Right. Or
not maybe. It will be one of the myths we'll do in the upcoming weeks, because these myths are so important because they seem to be accepted truths in a lot of circles. And so we just kind of fall into thinking, well, you know, cholesterol's bad, or fat's bad, or saturated fat's bad. And maybe if we really dig into it and dig into all the data, like the 7-country study versus the 22 countries, we start to find that all these things may not be particularly true, and more importantly, may not be the best thing for our optimal health, wellness, and fitness.
Absolutely.
So that's it for today. We hope you learned something today. Don't be scared of cholesterol. Don't be scared of good fats. We only want to put quality in our bodies always. And if you will, please remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you sign up for the free intro class at the link below. Thanks. See you next week.
The catalyst for me to really get involved with something was to quit taking all the medication I've been taking, and not being forced to take more medication down the road.
Have you come off any of those medications?
Yes, I have. And so I was checking everything every day and I saw the numbers going down the way I wanted them to.